We're getting ready to do our idle stop solenoid workaround for air conditioning with a Corvette with an L82 with a high-rise camshaft. Right now we're idling at the stock 900 RPM according to the tach right in there. And I've been playing around with the feeler gauges, and I got 20 thousandths right here. And I put 20 thousandths right there between the idle and the stop screw. And that bumped us up probably 200 RPMs, maybe a little more, maybe 225. We're sitting at about 1100, 1150, something like that. The brake light's on because of the that, not because of, never mind. Anyway, I'm waiting on the idle stop solenoid to come in the mail, and it's designed for this carburetor, and it'll bolt up to these two holes right here. Luckily, I had screws from a previous carburetor build, and they're 1032. These are out of the air horn, out of a quadrijet. All I got to do is cut these to length, about 5/8 of an inch. Should work out pretty nicely. If only my mailman would hurry up. All right, we've got our little idle stop solenoid. Came in the mail here just a little bit ago. Carburetor idle stop solenoid from Lectric Limited Automotive Wiring Products. 170-61769. Made in USA, by the way. That is a substantial product. You can hear the plunger going back and forth. That is a, look at that bracket. That's an 1/8 of an inch. Easy. Very well made. Take our dust cover off, aka paper towel, and let's see what we have here. So this apparently is supposed to go, let's see here, like this. And we have these two little nubs here, and apparently they're going to go across that little center rib so that the placement should be fairly easy. And that plunger will press on that right there. Now this is an idle stop solenoid. It will not push the throttle up like that. It will not happen. The way these things work, once they engage, you have to blip the throttle once to allow this thing to come out, to pop out. But once it's out, it'll stay out rigidly as long as power is applied here. So that's the way we're going to play it. Over there is a green wire that was up inside the wiring harness and was never used because that's for an automatic transmission car. This dangling wire here tees off of the pressure switch before it gets to the pressure switch, right? Because you wouldn't want to come off the power off of the compressor because the compressor cycles on and off, and you don't want this solenoid cycling on and off. You want solid 12 volts as long as the air conditioning is on, and that is what that wire right there is for. So next up, I screwed one of them in and bottomed it out and realized that that's how much I could get up inside the hole. So what I'll do is I'll add the thickness of that bracket to this, and I'll do a measurement, and I'll come up with however much I need to cut off of both of these bolts to make them work. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these bolts next, and then we'll get that solenoid bolted to the carburetor. All right, I cut my screws down to about 9/16, roughly in that neighborhood. I had to get a flat washer and put underneath them because the hole in the bracket is too large for the head of these screws. So you're going into this aluminum bodied carburetor, so you don't want to rear down on it too bad. Oh, it stripped out. I think that one's going to get a lock washer. Yeah, that's stripped out pretty well. Son of a gun. We got to figure something else out. Alright, I cut another one. Cut it a little bit longer to grab more threads, because the hole is fairly deep. Not real deep, but it's deeper than what I, had made a room for that first screw. So I cut this one a little longer, and I'm grabbing more threads here. Plus I got a lock washer on this one. And there we go. Let's see. Just real easy like. Yeah, that's good enough. Alright, so now let's activate it. Now let's open the throttle a little bit, see how far out it goes. And then I'm going to get my feeler gauge and measure that. See how close we got. So that's way far out. So what I need to do is get that until that's just snug. Alright, so we need to pull this thing in some so it doesn't shoot out quite so far. So I don't know how far that is, but let's just give it, I don't know, 4 of those. How about that? Alright. Alright. And what does that do for us? That's actually a little less than 20 thousandths now. Alright, you get the process. I'm going to tweak this thing until I get my 20 thousandths. I'll be right back. Alright, got it in the ballpark. So, what we need to do now is connect up our electricity permanently. So, I got some green wire from O'Reilly, which, the air compressor stuff is green, so that's why I bought the green. Anyway, so I'm going to connect that up and run it over here and try to make it not look stupid. And then I need to get a blade connector for that. That'll take a little bit. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm going to give her a test run here. Just got it wrapped around the connector there and got it wired in over there. Let's see how well this thing works. Alright, let's turn on our AC. And I blipped the throttle. I turned on the AC, it started to bog the motor, then I blipped the throttle. You can see our solenoid is doing its job. Now watch the compressor. The compressor's on right now. The compressor's going to cycle back off here in a minute. This is never going to move unless you remove power. Alright, let's see what the, turn down the fan here. Let's see what this is doing for our idle here. So the compressor's running right now. We're running at between 1400 and 1500. And now when it's on, we're running at 1200. So we need to back that plunger off on that thing. Of course, we just did the best we could, based on the measurement with a feeler gauge. So anyway, so let's turn the air conditioner off. Now that should take our idle back down to normal, which is going right back down to 900, 950 is about where I had it set. And you can see it retracted. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is dial it back in a little bit, see if I can tone that idle back down. I'll be right back. Alright, I dialed the plunger in about a half a turn, and the compressor's running, and it's running at 950. Now it's off. It's cycling a little bit too often, I think. I'm probably going to need to add a smidgen of refrigerant. I'll get my gauges out later and do that. But this is good. This is performing the way it needs to perform. The air conditioner is on and running at 900. Now it's cycled off. It's at 1200. It's on 900. Man, that is so cool. That is going to work out wonderfully. All right. All right, I'm calling that a success. So again, you don't want to take this wire off of the compressor because it's going to cycle, and you don't want this to cycle. You want it to remain energized the entire time the switch inside is set to AC. So let me tidy up this wire here. I'll be right back. All right, there she is. Not the greatest, but it works. And you can see the green wire there. Really kind of need a 90-degree to come off of there. I may rebuild that. I may go find a 90-degree connector, a little spade connector to do that with. And then the wire won't be so pokey-uppy. And anyway, I'm out of split loom too. I gotta go get some to get rid of the green there. But nah, hell, I may just leave it like it is. I don't know. Anyway, this doggone thing works like a treat. I'm telling you. All right, I'm calling that a success. I've got a nice idling car with a nice air conditioner and got a nice lopey camshaft and cool sounding pipes. And I can run my air conditioner without having the engine die on me. Again, there are two schools of thought when it comes to solenoids connected to a carburetor. One is the idle stop solenoid, which is what we installed today. It is not powerful enough to actuate the throttle by itself. That will never happen. You have to open the throttle somewhat. The other school of thought here, or the second situation here, which I honestly believe is a myth, and I think people thought that it worked this way and probably didn't, or they simply no longer make them and you can't find them. They're made of unobtainium. You guys comment below and let me know, and I'm going to tell you what I think. So back in the 70s when I was a small child and riding around in the car with my dad, I remember feeling the car jump up in speed a little bit as the air conditioner would cycle on and off. And my dad said, well, he said there was something on the motor that made it jump up like that. So, because of the air conditioner. Which I'm like, okay, and that's all I ever thought of it, And fast forward 30 or 40 years, the idea that I had in my mind was the solenoid on the carburetor actuated the throttle and pushed it and made it go higher, made the revs go higher to counteract the air conditioner. And that happened whenever the air conditioner would turn on. Did General Motors and Ford and Chrysler have a strong enough solenoid in the 70s to do that? Did they? I don't know. If they did, send me a part number, because the part number I have in the manufacturer's Chevrolet assembly manual for this car just says carburetor solenoid and doesn't give a part number. How about that? I have the factory assembly manual that they had on the line when you put the car together. The drawings, the engineering drawings. There is no part number for the solenoid. I don't know if it was a solenoid that would activate the throttle, or if it was simply an idle stop and it was dual purpose. It could be used for anti-dieseling or for air conditioning purposes. The way it works with anti-dieseling, as you probably already know, you set your idle speed with the screw on the carburetor to some really low number, like 450 RPMs, to where it's just barely running. And you use the idle stop solenoid as the real idle adjustment. So the plunger, when the plunger came up, that's what your idle would be, whether it be 600 or 800 or whatever it is. And it was assumed that when you get in your car and crank it, you would be, pumping the throttle anyway and applying power to the solenoid, so it's going to pop out. Now, if you have a car with an idle stop solenoid that's connected to ignition 12 volts, this Cadillac over here, it has one. Let's say, for instance, I go to the store in that Cadillac, go buy something, get out, get in the car, and it's a hot motor, and all I have to really do is turn the key to crank it, right? You don't have to really pump it in that situation. If you do that and you crank that engine, it will crank, but the idle will be really, really low. It'll be set to the idle stop RPM of 450 to 500, and I have to blip the throttle to get the idle stop solenoid to come forward enough so it can hold the idle in its location. That's the way an idle stop solenoid works. So anyway, enough ranting and raving about that. I have read so many forums of people trying to play guess games and grab ass and try to figure this out. And if there was a solenoid that actually moved the throttle back in the 70s, I can't find it. I can't find a part number. Don't know where it is. I think it's a myth. If you know better, you comment down below. I just realized I'd recorded this in vertical mode, so oh well, what are you going to do? Anyway, we got a smooth running engine, well, except for the lopey idle from the high performance cam, but and when the air conditioner is on, the rascal is going to stay running. All right, folks, that's all for now. I appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. This has been a nice little restoration vlog, or maybe maintenance vlog, or let's call it an improvement vlog on our old Chevrolet Corvette. I know that I said that the restoration series on this car was complete, but this is just a little upgrade. So, all right, folks, appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to be notified whenever I release a new video, don't forget to click that little bell down below. You guys have a good one, and remember to enjoy driving your classic C3 Corvette. Oh, and here's the bonus track. I got the underhood light working, and I basically just ran a complete new ground all the way to the rear of the alternator underneath this connector right here, where this thing is bolted to the alternator. Got a wonderful ground with a brand new wire that was originally grounded to this wire, to this thing here, to the prop, and then to the body down there. But that's just, yeah, it's a horrible ground. I just ran a whole new wire. This looks kind of crappy right here, but the next upgrade I'm going to make, I'm going to find myself a little bitty unobtrusive switch. I'm going to stick it right there because I went and got myself some LED 1156 bulbs, and it's like the sun, trust me, okay? It is ridiculous. It's just stupid. Let's turn off the lights in the shop. There you go. One super bright LED underhood light. Unbelievable. Now, if you get stranded on the side of the road, you can see what you're doing.